And primarily that is innovation, innovative growth. That was what they chose to focus on, and we believe this is very important. It is also important that we all agreed on the necessity to exchange and share information and pursue scientific cooperation with using the help of modern-day digital technologies, providing for the interests of people who generate those innovations, and that is, of course, civilized copyright protection. There are many components to such strategies, but just to give you an outline, issue number 2, for the first time, it was actually laid out in documents and put in writing in our forum, creating or setting rules, common rules in the area of investment. And issue number 3, we continued to discuss the task of ensuring and providing for growth and for the objectives for such growth and ways to achieve those objectives. So what was important and helpful for us is that we have continued our deliberations and discussions, and we have reconfirmed the conclusions made summing up Russia's presidency in the G20 in St. Petersburg in 2013, and that is fighting tax evasion. All of these areas have been touched upon. Some of them were not central, but I nonetheless consider them important. For example, we discussed developments and issues that hamper growth in general, and that is uncontrolled migration, regional conflicts, terrorism. We also discussed the necessity to protect the environment. Those were the general issues that we were discussing, and it's all there in the documents of today's meeting. Japan is still a member of the Group of 7. Do you think the events in Ukraine could hamper the improvement of diplomatic relations between Russia and Japan? And what is your opinion of the fact that Prime Minister Abe invited you to Yamaguchi instead of Tokyo? You don't have to look for some deep-lying issues in our relations based on these issues you've mentioned. We know that Japan has a special relationship with the United States, and not really because of its membership in the Group of 7, but because it's been aligning its foreign policy largely with its main foreign partner. And that is, of course, the United States. And that was the reason for the fact that Russian-Japanese contacts have been somewhat strained in the past 18 months. And that was rather strange for us, because Japan is obviously interested in getting a headway on many foreign policy issues, including the pending peace treaty between our countries and the territorial issue. But Japan preferred to leave the table on it for a year and a half. But now, thankfully, we've all come back, and Japan has come back, and Prime Minister Abe proposed some very interesting initiatives during his visit to Sochi. He suggested that we work out 8 main areas of cooperation in the area of economic cooperation and trade. I think this is an important initiative, not only for addressing our relevant economic issues and tasks facing our economies, but also for providing an enabling environment for addressing and resolving many other issues, including political issues. As for Japan's stance on Ukraine and whether it could be an impediment for Russian-Japanese economic cooperation, we don't think so. We don't see anything here that could be an obstacle. Even though we have been discussing the Ukrainian issue with Prime Minister Abe, he has been raising questions and I have been responding to them, telling him what's been going on. So far, I do not see any problem here. but providing an enabling environment for addressing different issues, including the conclusion of a peace treaty. I believe this is a very important initiative. Just recently, someone thought back on our relationship with China, with which we had not really territorial issues but border issues. And I've already said this, it took us 40 years to negotiate our border issues with China, and we eventually were able to do it. But what enabled us to do that is the very high level of mutual confidence and cooperation that we had with China at the moment. Someone has cut in front of you already. I'm sorry.